Okay, cool. Welcome. This is the Mastering the Basics of Social Media for Real Estate Success. I should preface, this is not a class specific for what Command can do. This is actually something I wanted to teach so that we at least have a general understanding of how to approach social media, because social media is one of those things that I feel like there's a lot that it can do, and it's kind of hard to decide where to start and what to do. So this is kind of something I wanted to consolidate into a class for our agents here at Keller Williams Mid-Willamette, and just something that we can reflect back on and kind of work towards getting our social media like under our belt. So the importance of social media, we're going to spend a couple slides kind of looking at like what social media can do, and then we're going to get into like the differences between all the different platforms that I have seen agents use, and then we'll get into like the top 3 best practices to use for social media. What do you think social media can do for you in your real estate business?
Multiply your exposure to people.
That's a good one. What else? Granted, you are the one person on this call, so you have another idea?
Breed familiarity, get people to know you, kind of. You can show some of your personality.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of on that line, like increase reach and visibility, like definitely put yourself and your brand out there, building that brand awareness kind of ties into that. Engaging with potential clients. And one phrase that I've heard recently that I actually really love is like, know, and trust. When your client likes you and they know you, they have an ability to trust you, which more than likely will convert into an actual lead for you to be able to work with, whether they're potential buyers or sellers. You can showcase listings, you can generate leads and referrals from that, and then there's targeted advertising as well. The top 4 is kind of more of what I was going to talk about, and then the generate leads and referrals and targeted advertising is a different class. That's my Facebook leads best practices. There's also an Instagram leads best practices, and all of Facebook ads and Instagram ads and what that kind of looks like to kind of showcase what Command can do. But this class is more general concept and how to apply it to your business. So first and foremost, Facebook. We're kind of going to go through the pros and cons. Pros on Facebook is that it is a large user base with high engagement. There's so many different types of people out there, age ranges, and lots of people tend to use it. I have heard in the woodwork that Facebook seems to be like a dying social media platform. However, people still do business on Facebook and they get leads from that. It's definitely still a usable source. There's diverse content forms, meaning like you can do photos, videos, live streams, lots of different options for you depending on what you want to do with your business and how you want to market it. And that advertising capabilities in comparison to the 4 social media platforms I'm going to talk about does a really good job. Facebook itself does a really good job of looking at advertisements based on certain interests and behaviors, like certain groups of people that love like homesteading, or certain groups of people that love doing cross country, or just all sorts of different types of hobbies that people like to enjoy. You can kind of target your ads based on that. The cons with Facebook, unfortunately, is that the algorithm changes so much. And with that, you have to keep on top of what that looks like. And one thing that can help with just being on top of the algorithm is using your paid ads. You can definitely use Facebook to just like post and you don't have to pay anything. But if you want to make sure that your content gets out to the people that you want your content to get out to, paid ads are the way to go. And there has been lots of privacy concerns with that, sharing information that you may not want, just kind of that stuff has been talked about. It's been in the media a lot as well. And then the competitiveness of Facebook, there's a need to be more creative. So you have to kind of stand out from the crowd if you really want to be able to use Facebook at the high level that you need to in order for your brand, your business, your face to get out there. So Instagram pros is the visual appeal. I know a lot of real estate agents, and I've seen when I was on a team, visual appeal is such a game changer when it comes to marketing your homes, maybe even talking about your value in your business and what you can bring to your clients. Having that visual appeal really changes the game. And Instagram does a fantastic job on what that looks like with reels and stories and just the whole 9 yards with just the capabilities that Instagram has. With Instagram and their users, they have a high engagement in their user base, meaning that super easy to connect with people, super easy to talk with potential clients, or just even get conversations out there. Maybe you're just like talking about something that you learned recently in your real estate career, or something that you wanted to share with everybody, like, hey, this is a tip. You can have those conversations a lot easier. And it's, in my opinion, a little bit more functional to be able to do that in Instagram. And then there's a lot of influence in the marketing potential there. And like being an influencer as well. You can really, if you dug in and focused on it, you can really do a lot of different types of marketing within Instagram to be able to become more of that influencer type of person. And you have the potential to collaborate with different influencers if that is something that you want to do. If you don't, it's not a big deal. But that's an option with Instagram. The cons with that is that there are very limited content formats. So like live stream you can do, it just looks a little different on Facebook. There's just some differences. There's less emphasis on text-based content, meaning all of the information that you may want to portray on Instagram, you have to be a little bit more concise than if you were doing this on Facebook. And then the targeting limitations are different since Instagram is paired with Facebook. The goal is that you would use Facebook for that targeting. What is the word I'm looking for? To be able to target the audience that you want. If you solely just did Instagram, the algorithm and what that looks like just looks different. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking at these platforms. Twitter. This is so fascinating to me. When I was doing some research, I didn't realize that real estate agents use Twitter, but if that is something that you want to do, you can. One of the pros with Twitter is that real-time updates is a thing. That's a lot of reason why people in general use Twitter is because of the real-time updates. You get the quick, easy, like this house is for sale, or this something happened, breaking news, this XYZ, there's a lot to do for the real-time updates. And then the networking engagement, there's a lot of networking you can build into Twitter. And then the concise communication, their character limit is super small. So if you want to maybe link to your like Instagram account, you could do that. So again, not something that I would personally choose because it's not a way for me and what I would do if I had a business to portray who I am, because it's such a limited base. But I know people use it. I know of people that definitely use Twitter to their advantage. I'm not sure what that looks like with their business, if there's an influence or not, but that's something I haven't really dove into in conversations with them.
Coryn, I have a question.
Yes. What's your question?
Can you do anything besides text on Twitter? Because I thought it was text only.
You can put photos. You could.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you could put, I've seen like, for example, my husband loves like looking at MLS updates for soccer, and they put photos of like their players all the time and then little blurbs about what they accomplished on that game. You can do that for a house. If you wanted something quick, easy, and effective, you could be like, just dropped a house, contact me for more details. Here's like the first 2 pictures. I think their limit for photos looks different than Instagram and Facebook. I'm not sure though. I haven't spent time in Twitter personally.
Okay.
The one thing that you can do super easy, this is a great lead in, is that the information overload is super common. So you can easily just put so much information on there, and then the tweet like disappears, and then you can do it again. Like there's just so much cycling through the feed. And that's another con as well, as the short lifespan of the tweets. See it and then it'll disappear because there's so many other tweets that can happen. Limited visual content capabilities. So like I said, like you can do photos, but the things that you can do with Instagram or Facebook are very, very limited when it comes to Twitter. It's definitely more an emphasis on text-based content. So there's things to keep in mind. LinkedIn, this is something that I was actually pretty surprised by. I personally don't use LinkedIn as much. That's not something that is common. I feel like a lot of people use LinkedIn, but I know from a professional and business standpoint, LinkedIn is the way to go. You can build a professional network. It's kind of like our referrals, like Applet in Command. That's like the LinkedIn of Command in a sense. Like you're building your professional network, you're building your relationships with other agents. But with LinkedIn specifically, you could potentially build relationships with potential clients, or maybe if you're focused on commercial real estate, that's something you could 100% do with LinkedIn. And even talk to industry experts, excuse me. And then there's like B2B opportunities, which is business to business is really what that is, meaning you can connect with your favorite inspector or mortgage officer or home warranty company through LinkedIn and be able to promote what they value and vice versa in the LinkedIn platform. Thought leadership, meaning like LinkedIn is kind of set up for if you have certain values or strategies or just standards in your business that you want to share with your clients or even just other real estate professionals, you can be a leader in that and like show like, hey, this has worked super well for me. And that's something that you can add to your LinkedIn profile as well. If that's something you want to post about and talk about, is just what has been working well for you. Cons, limited consumer reach. There's not a lot of like algorithm to that. There's not something that you can like be like, I want to target people with these kinds of interests. From my understanding, it's just you're building professional relationships is ultimately the purpose of LinkedIn. And then the professional focus, like I said, that's really the focus, is not really building just, you know, hey, I friended somebody on Facebook and they seem like a cool person. It's more of like, no, this person I really want to build a network with because they have potential opportunities for my job later down the road. You know, kind of looks a little different. Okay, so choosing the right platform, there are a couple things to consider when it comes to looking at all your different options. Really, one thing I want you to think about is, what is your target audience? Like, what is something that you're passionate about, maybe in your personal life, or something that you love to do. And I know, Melinda, you love going on walks and you have neighborhood friends that go on walks with you. Now that might be something that you could use to kind of bolster your business in a sense, not to like gain, you know, momentum in the sense of like, I just want to get all the business just for my personal self, but more for you to be like, hey, I'm going to go on weekly walks. And if people want to join me in my neighborhood, and I'm also a real estate agent, and we can talk about your home and stuff like that, you know, pairing the things that you like to do on the side with your business, because your business is a big chunk of your life, right? So really defining your target audience. So like for me, like if I was in a real estate mindset in terms of like, if I had my own license, I would probably focus on horses. I love horses. I grew up around horses. I got my education specifically focused in horses and everything in regards to that. And I would 100% be focusing on like acreage, land, anything that had to do with horses. And that would just be like totally my MO and what I would build my target audience around, because that's something that is pretty popular. So, and then I would take the time to consider the demographics of each platform, like Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. If I really wanted to like use one of these platforms, or I could do all three, up to you. Or even 4 if you really want to use Twitter. I didn't put Twitter on here because again, there's not really much to do with Twitter, but it is an option. So if I was thinking with my real estate hat on and I wanted to focus on horses, I might do both Facebook and Instagram. Instagram in the sense the younger audience love the visual appeal. So I'd probably take a lot of my time to show like all of the acres and if I had a specific property, I would show acreage, I would show like the views, I would take the time to look at the barn, look at the details, you know, kind of showcase things that are super flashy and exciting looking. And then for Facebook, I do a little bit of that, but then more like broaden out, like more than likely people want to see like the land and want to see like, this is how the land is excuse me, these are the lot lines and stuff of like the acreage and stuff like that. So I don't know, it just depends on what I could accomplish in my social media platform. So kind of those kinds of things to think about of like, okay, I could do Facebook, that's a broad age group. I could do Instagram, it's more of a younger audience. If I really just wanted to build professional relationships, LinkedIn is the way to go. So like I said, look at each of the features and the content formats and look at if it fits your strategy and what you would want to accomplish. And even look at your engagement levels. Like, are you getting a lot of traction with those certain listings that have these types of photos? Like the team that I was on, we focused on HDR studio lighting. Like that was our jam. Like we didn't want to do any other photo because to us, that was part of our brand. That it was bright, it showcased the whole area, it showcased the whole living room and the kitchen, and it looked appealing. And that was something that we focused on. And so I would definitely encourage you to take the time, like, you know, compare, like I did this certain aspect with my social media photos, and maybe I even added more emojis in this one, and I didn't do that with this social media post. But I did more of like the land, and then, you know, you have options to like kind of see and compare, like, okay, like this certain style got more engagement than this one. And it kind of just depends on what it looks like for you and what you want to accomplish. And then analyze competition and the market presence. Like look at what other people are doing. Like we are in a company that we love to replicate and duplicate and replicate R&D, right? We love to share like what has worked and what hasn't worked. If you can look at other agents within our market center and go, I really love, like, for example, Sarah Fields does a really good job with her marketing. I love her marketing. It's simple, clean, and super professional. If you want to do something similar, 100% do that and then make it your own. And that showcases you and who you are and what you value. And, you know, how can you be different in that? Obviously, we don't want to just like copy and paste like everything, but using the same concepts and ideas, you can 100% use that within your social media and the strategy to make it your own. So best practice, since there's so much information that I just shared with you, definitely look at your time and your budget. It's going to cost some money to be able to figure out like what works and what doesn't. I'm not saying break the bank, but like take the time to maybe do like, you know, 5 to 7 days, $5 a day. I've heard that's a really best practice. That's a really good best practice for Facebook. Just like the book, The One Thing, focus on one thing to excel at within social media, and then do that well, and then build off of it. Don't try to put like all of your eggs in one basket and build something. Look at one thing that you enjoy and work on it, and then start to build your social media presence. And then experiment with content strategies and see which yields best results. I definitely talked about that. And then find which of those delivers the most value to your business. And like I said, those things are going to just take some time. So focusing on the top 3 basics when it comes to social media. First is you want to learn how to create engaging content. And this is pretty broad in the sense of like, what is engaging for me might not be engaging for you, but you got to figure out what works best for you and what works best for the clients that you are trying to reach and trying to get your brand out there. So listings, use high quality photos, have videos, highlight unique selling points and showcase the properties' best features. You don't want to just be like, you know, here's all these random photos and then put it on the MLS and then run an ad on that. You want to look at the top 5 photos of all of the photos that you got from your photographer, and you want to really highlight which of the selling points there are for that house. And every house is different. Some houses like may have a beautiful like view of the Cascades and a really bad kitchen. Other homes might have a gorgeous kitchen and it might be just landlocked in a development. You know what I mean? Like look at the things that you like see and it catches your eye, and use that to your advantage when you're promoting it on social media. Market updates is a big one for content. Believe it or not, people actually do look at it. I find it fascinating. And I'm not like generalizing that me and the whole world find it fascinating, but for me, I like looking at market updates. Does it really give me a lot of value for my home? Not necessarily, but it's just fascinating for me. And you're going to find people like that. And you're also going to find people that don't like that. And that's something that's going to take time to figure out what is your audience like really craving? What are they wanting to see out of like these posts and stuff like that? Are they more into the statistics and the trends and stuff like that? Or are they more into the super pretty photos? Up to you and up to what you are trying to accomplish with your social media. But yes, with market updates, you can share trends, data, and insights on the housing prices. I totally spelled that wrong. I see that. Oh my gosh. Interest rates, all of that. Obviously, big hot topic right now, interest rates. Everybody wants to talk about interest rates. I actually even had a conversation a couple weeks ago with my father-in-law's student's family. We went out to lunch. Long story short, I got to tag along. And since they found out I work for Keller Williams, they were asking me all sorts of different questions about how it's like the interest rates, like what is your like perspective on this? And I was like, I'm not a real estate agent. I can't tell you that word for word, but I know.
But you get the gist. You hear it all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
You hear it more than the average person does. So
for sure, like I'm definitely around it, but I try my best to be like, this is what I know, and it's not something to be afraid of. So that's something that everybody obviously wants to talk about, and that you could like literally build your social media around interest rates and then pretty pictures. Just depends. So tips and advice, that's something that people love. Man, you see that all the time. Like I know specifically on Instagram, people are talking about the tips for the best cleaning solution that's non-toxic, like for example, or the tips for how to do your own garden, or tips for how to clean gutters, or there's lots of things that you could talk about tips and advice wise. The examples that I have here are home staging tips, DIY projects, renovation ideas, buying and selling guides, insights to the local community. Be that expert in your area. Talk about like, that's your neighborhood, this is your jam, everything that can go on in your neighborhood. Maybe like, I know, Melinda, you live in an area where there's lots of trees. I'm sure that like leaves and debris accumulate, right? And there are probably some pine needles too. And you probably know people that need, extra help with cleaning that up in your neighborhood. So you might even be like the go-to person to be like, hey, I know 3 vendors that do leaf cleanup and cleaning up and yard maintenance and stuff. Like, here are my top 3 people. And you could just do that for your social media, or you can even market that out in little flyers depending around your neighborhood, or even just have those conversations, right? But those are the types of things that I'm talking about. Be the expert in your area, think about the needs of the area, or even just the audience you're trying to reach, and then build your base around that. Testimonials are super helpful as well. We want to share those success stories, and we want to talk about like all of the satisfied clients that we've had and what they appreciated about what you had done for their business. That drives so much credibility, that builds so much confidence in you personally, but also just for other people who are looking at your business as well. They want to know, are you going to be able to do what I hope that you would accomplish as a real estate agent? Are you going to communicate well? Are you going to be organized? Like, testimonials are the way to go if you really want to have good, engaging content. Visual content, I've said this before, it's kind of like beating a dead horse, but it's so important. You want to make sure you have good, attention-grabbing photos that showcases the property super well. Can't create that emotional connection. Like, I've seen reels of people being like, oh my gosh, like the sound of, oh my, I just lost the thought that I had. I've seen people use like kitchens and talk about like what you could do in the kitchen. This grand like stove, gas fired like plate. Oh my gosh, not fireplace, gas stove that you could cook a giant meal for your entire family to come over for Thanksgiving. Like, you could really like just schmooze it. If you really wanted to, you could really take the time to create that emotional connection. Like, you might be talking with a lot of people that love hosting. How can you showcase the hosting capabilities of that kitchen, or even that space, or even that open house concept? Questions to ask yourself. And having that visual content will then be able to increase your engagement too. Again, if you just have like slapped on photos and then you just run an ad, but there's nothing eye-catching, I would probably reevaluate and look at those top 5 photos that I suggested and think about, okay, why would I want to like click more? Like, what am I trying to accomplish with these photos? Using visually compelling content, you can effectively market your properties and you can attract those potential buyers and you can drive those successful transactions, because if you can be able to create that emotional connection, like I talked about, showcase the property and its features and its unique features and what it can do for your potential buyers, that's going to drive transactions. People are going to be like, I want that house. I want to purchase that home. It has the best island that I've ever seen in all the homes that I've looked at. And I think it really will accomplish my goals of hosting. You know, who knows? Who knows what your clients may want, but that's something like calling back to the beginning of this presentation, get to know your audience, get to know the target of your audience, and then build your marketing around that. So building your audience, another lead in, and that's number 2. Like I said, define your target audience. Understanding your audience will help you create the content that resonates with them, and then that consistent branding. That's a huge, huge one. You can easily, if you're not paying attention, almost like not be consistent, and maybe there's too many fonts or there's too many things going on. Look at your branding, look at what you want to promote as you are the independent contractor, right? You have your own personal business. What does that mean for you? What are the colors that you want to like showcase? It doesn't have to be the red, white, and black, right? That's Keller Williams colors for sure. But there are like totally all these options for you to use to be able to build out your brand. So like I said, color scheme, like maybe you have like a nice pretty teal blue. That's the team that I came from. We had a nice pretty teal blue, but we did blue, black, and white. And those were the top 3 colors that we picked. We even had our own specific hex code for those colors. And no one else could use. Like that was ours. It was called the Impact Real Estate Team. That was our brand. And we stuck to that. And we had certain fonts that we used that we always had on each certain post, whether it was just sold, just listed, or garage sale. Like we had a consistent brand. People recognize those fonts and those colors, and you want them to be able to recognize you. Look at your content strategy. This is kind of a callback to the previous stuff I've talked about, but what are you providing that's valuable? What are you educating your clients with? Are you entertaining them? Are you engaging with your target audience? You know, those are the questions you should ask yourself. What are you doing? How are you doing it? Why are you doing it? And don't be afraid to utilize hashtags. It's kind of it feels a little scary, at least in my opinion, when I was doing social media stuff for the team that I was on. I was like, there's so many hashtags to choose from. I have no idea. There's like, if we're still going on with the horse example, equine and equestrian, like what, you can use them all. Like, feel free to use them all. Take the time to like, look at your target audience. What do they like? Like, for example, Melinda, I know you love walking. You do walking or walking with your dog or something like that. Hashtag walking with your dog, hashtag real estate, hashtag Melinda sells homes or something along those lines. You could use hashtags to your advantage because that will help target people who also look at those hashtags and will increase the discoverability of you and your brand. And like I said, you could create branded hashtags as well. Don't forget to engage. That's super easy to forget. If you're just running and doing all the things that you need to be doing, you're doing so many different transactions and you're throwing posts out, don't forget to comment and message. Like, know, and trust, right? I said that way at the beginning. When you are able to communicate in a way that allows people to get to know you and like what you're doing, more than likely they're going to trust you and more than likely they're going to do business with you. And run contests and giveaways. Like, this helps encourage participation and sharing. Like, you could even do like, I'm going to give away a coffee culture gift card and this goodie basket if I can get you to follow my page, like this post and share it. And then I'll pick one winner. And that's something that is super sustainable and something that will 100% get people to move on your page and see what you have to offer. And then
comment, like, and share.
Yes. Comment, like, and share. I've said this before, and it kind of ties into each slide that I've talked about, but growing your social media takes time and effort. Don't be afraid to refine your strategies and adjust depending on what works best for you and your audience and your business goals. If you need to adjust, if you spent 6 months on an ad that gained a little bit of traction, but didn't do exactly what you were hoping for, you might need to adjust. Some things may not work, may not be working. So third and last thing that I'm going to focus on, personal branding. Here's a little bit more of the details of what personal branding kind of looks like. So differentiation, you want to be able to stand out. You want to be able to be like, this is my brand. This is what I stick on all of my business cards, my social media posts, the end of my email signatures, like everything. This is my brand. And you can even highlight the qualities and the value that you can bring as well. And like I mentioned, building that trust and credibility goes a long way when you do have a personalized brand. When people see the brand, they know exactly, oh, like for example, Nike Just Do It. More than likely they have high quality clothes, and they do a lot of awesome stuff in the athletic world. I'm going to trust that brand, and it's literally just a check, right? There's nothing much to it, but I know exactly what that means for me. And it's something that you can think about when you're building your own brand as well. Clients are more likely to choose someone they perceive as an expert in the field is a sentence that I saw when I was researching for this class. And that makes sense, right? Kind of exactly like I said with the Nike example. I tend to purchase Nike over Adidas just because I personally have had more positive experiences with Nike than Adidas. And they, to me, seem to know what I like and what works for me. There's an increase in referrals and recommendations when you have your personal branding, and people can recognize that. They can be like, oh, like Impact Real Estate, really love them. Here's their stuff. And like people will recognize their brand, the branding, right? Any satisfied client who resonates with you on a personal level are more likely to refer you to their family, friends, and other colleagues. And then the other thing too is depending on how you brand, and I'm not talking just icons either, depending on how you brand, with the way that you have these conversations, with the way that you pursue your clients, with the way that you organize in transactions, they'll be able to track the right clients for you and what you want to accomplish for your business. If you're able to define your niche and your target audience, you can attract the clients that you want to work with and that you care to work with. And I'm not saying you don't care for anybody, but it's specifically those people that love walking their dogs, love being outside, love drinking coffee. All of those different things are very valuable. You can add to just who you are and your business so that people like, know, and can trust your expertise and the services that you offer. And then with personal branding as well, the online presence and visibility really, really helps you reach a wider audience and increases your chances of being discovered by those potential clients. Definitely take the time to build out your brand. So recap. 1, mix up your content to keep it varied, interesting, and relevant while also aligning with your brand and business goals. Growing your social media following takes time and consistent effort. And by investing in your personal brand, you can position yourself as the go-to real estate professional in your market. So I talked a lot. It's been 40 minutes of me talking. Any ahas, and what are your action plans that you want to do within your business since learning all of this information?
Build out my brand, learn more about some of these other platforms. Not sure I'm ever going to tweet. I am a LinkedIn, I have a login. I occasionally go there, but
yeah.
And I've probably commented, liked, and shared. But anyway, other than that, yeah, I'm not very familiar with LinkedIn. But anyway, figuring out what kind of content to post sometimes is, you gave a good example of like a tip, giving tips or something, like common tips suggested by a stager for what will make your home sell better and quicker and for a higher price. So anyway, so those would be easy enough. And I think I just have to get off the expectation that I need like a professional videographer and a professional makeup artist, and
Oh, I
Lots
know.
of words around my head and words coming in.
Right. And
Anyway,
my suggestion that I actually didn't even put in my PowerPoint is don't be afraid to just start simple. You
yeah,
know, just be simple and take what you like, what you want to bring, and start simple and start there.
yeah,
Because it's really, really easy to dive in and get so bogged down with all of the options that if we were just going to pick Instagram, for example, there's so many things you can do with Instagram. You can add filters and videos and even music and like you can create a reel. Like there's so much you can do. My suggestion would maybe be like if you just want to be consistent and post to Instagram every other day, start there. Or maybe run an ad for once a month or maybe once every 2 weeks, because you can 100% dive in and then get burnt out super easily if you don't start simple. Focus on that one thing, right? Get good at that one thing. But I like that, Melinda. I'm excited to see how you develop your brand, not only with just like the actual like icon of it, but even just like who you are and the value that you can bring to your clients. Because you're kind of already doing that anyways. Like you've been in real estate for almost 4 years now, right? Like you've been building that presence of like sweet, loving, just wants to help people out. And you're very organized in the sense of like you have the things that you want to get done. Sometimes it's kind of hard to have those communications with those clients, but hey, like you want to make sure that everybody gets where they need to be and we all are go home happy and healthy, you know?
mm-hmm.
So that's something that I love to know that you do that well. I also, little plug, I want your feedback. If you want to give me your feedback, you don't have to if you don't want to. I have a QR code right here and it just talks about like it's a survey about questions related to my class. How can I improve? What are ways that I can just help you understand? We can even have one-on-one meetings, whatever that looks like. But I definitely would love your feedback. And if you need to contact me, that is my email, my cell phone number to call, or I'm sorry, my office landline to call, and then to text if you need to text me. But that is it. So I really appreciate you coming out and listening to me give you tips and tricks on social media and best practices with that. If you have any questions before I end.
I have one.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah.
pretend you are a real estate agent right now and you are targeting the equine crowd.
Okay.
Because I have a friend who was in that crowd. Her kids were very into, oh, what's it called? I just drew a blank.
There's dressage and there's horse
There
jumping.
you are, dressage.
Yeah, dressage.
And they traveled internationally, dressage
Wow.
shows and stuff. And they had pretty big place of acreage, kind of near me, and horses. Although I don't think they had like a ton of horses, but they had their dressage horses and 10 or 20 acres. Anyways, when she went to sell, she picked someone she had known in Corvallis a long time, a real estate agent. She told her what she wanted for her property. And, she didn't want a sign. She didn't want showing. She didn't want advertising. She just wanted this realtor to find her a buyer. It was called a pocket listing. But anyway, so now you're the agent and you're going to use social media instead of pocket listing to sell a property that's for horses. What of those ones you listed would you pick? Because, to target my friend that sold, you would target Facebook because she was more my age group and my age group tends to use Facebook more. But if your buyer is a younger horse person, so that's my question for you is which, if you can only pick two, where would you advertise on social media?
I would 100% pick Instagram and Facebook, and you can do both since they are owned by the same company. And it's pretty easy to do both because you can use Instagram's capabilities for the visual components. And then you can also use Facebook's algorithm to really reach those audiences. So that would be something that I would suggest to pair both Facebook and Instagram with. And that I can even talk to you about how to do that in Command. That's something you can 100% easily do in Command. But yeah, that would be my suggestion. As far as reaching the people that I want to reach is Facebook and Instagram. So
And then you probably follow lots of equestrian groups on Facebook.
if I was, yes, I am currently not right now. Like I'm not really on social media. Ironically, I'm teaching a class on social media, but personally for me, I am not, but I do understand the concepts behind why you would want to use social media for your real estate business. But yeah, that would be my suggestion, would be get involved with groups that are more focused on horses and stuff. I will have to dig for it, but when I was on the team that I was on before this position, we did have a horse property that we specifically put on this website, that all it showcased was horse properties in the nation.
Mhm.
And you could like filter it by the state. And we did put that on there. So there are resources out there that if you did want to really find that niche audience, like specifically dressage people, there's options out there.
Yeah,
You just have to do a little bit of front end work on finding out what and where are good places to put your advertisements and stuff. So
cool.
good question. Well, I appreciate it, Melinda. I'm going to let you go and I'm going to end this call. And thank you so much for attending my class. And I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Coryn. Have a good
Absolutely.
afternoon.
You too.